top 7 terrifying films of 2023. A truly frightening horror film delves into the darkest corners of the human mind, compelling us to experience the traumas of others. From those cursed by an ancient hex to the mournful souls turned into demonic entities, and those once victimized now standing against the horrors of the world. 2023 has been an exceptional year for the horror genre. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments if you've watched Evil Dead and Talk to Me. If not, you're missing out. And a special thanks to our supporters like Tracy Steele and others for showing us love by liking, subscribing, and suggesting. Your support means the world to us.
Who wants to run next? Eeny, meeny, miny! You. Ellie?
Number 7. Insidious The Red Door. Director Patrick Wilson. Rotten Tomatoes. Rating 38/100. The Insidious series encompasses underrated and neglected films known for their innovative jump scares, striking monster designs, and theatrical sequences.
Are you ready? We're ready.
The latest installment, directed by Patrick Wilson, though flawed, bears these signatures and serves its purpose if your sole aim is to be scared. Insidious The Red Door is a direct sequel set 9 years after its predecessor.
I can still feel something following us.
There's only one way to find out.
Dalton Ty Simpkins has recently entered college, and his father, Josh Patrick Wilson, adjusts to a new life as a single parent. Together, they choose to delve back into the world of spirits. A world that has long robbed them of peace. Their reconnection with this dangerous realm introduces them to new specters, eager to step into our world through their connection. The film may not complicate the story much, categorizing it as a cliché, but thematically aligns with the series. Characters not willing to hide their connection with the spirit world or run from it, but bravely facing their inner fears. Another positive aspect is giving a young filmmaker the opportunity to express themselves, and Patrick Wilson, in his directorial debut, puts in his best effort to craft a satisfying movie experience. Number 6. Megan. Director Gerard Johnston. Rotten Tomatoes rating 93/100.
What the hell is that?
You should probably run.
Killer dolls have always held high popularity among horror fans. Megan aims to be a part of that legacy, but with a slight twist, successfully delivering in this regard.
What are you?
I've been asking myself that same question.
Gerard Johnston introduces a new killer doll that could have a lasting presence in future cultural references. Yet this doll's appeal doesn't imply an extremely terrifying movie. Megan has its fundamental weaknesses and may not be among the best of 2023's horrors, but it still presents an entertainingly chilling film that doesn't take itself too seriously. The story revolves around an orphaned girl named Katie, Violet McGraw, sent to live with her aunt, a robot engineer.
With Megan around, she'll take care of the little things, so you can spend more time doing the things that matter.
Katie is given an experimental robot assistant named Megan to help with her daily tasks. Initially appearing normal, Megan gradually exhibits aggressive behavior whenever Katie is threatened.
Are you listening to me, Brandon?
A robot caretaker that becomes increasingly violent and eventually transforms into a ruthless killer, using creative methods to murder humans.
Megan?
Baby, dolls kill. Don't provoke us or we will.
While it might not reach the scale of Skynet from the Terminator series, Megan undeniably possesses an inexplicable allure.
Megan, what are you doing?
Number 5. Knock at the Cabin. Night Shyamalan's latest psychological horror tale, Knock at the Cabin, unfolds the story of Eric, Jonathan Graff, Andrew, Ben Aldridge, and Vaughn, Christian Covey, on a trip disrupted when 4 armed abductors invade their retreat.
My name's Leonard. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Contrary to expectations, these intruders, led by Leonard, Dave Bautista, have no intention of harming the family.
But my heart is broken
Why is it broken?
because of what I have to do today. In fact, it might be the most important job in the history of the world.
They don't even desire anything for themselves. Their reason for being there is far more bizarre. They claim to be acting under the command of a higher power.
The 4 of us are here to prevent the apocalypse.
Arriving at this cabin to request one of these 3 individuals to be a sacrifice of their own choosing.
If you fail to choose, the world will end.
Should this family refuse to sacrifice someone, the human race and the Earth itself will be destroyed, leaving only these 3 intruders behind. Derived from the novel Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, this 2023 horror film doesn't immediately reveal its horror in its few intense moments or in the brief bouts of madness broadcast on television, foretelling the beginning of the end. Cliched glimpses expected in disaster films crafted by Roland Emmerich.
Unbelievable. Oh, there it is. We did this.
These not-so-frightening glimpses aren't the primary cause of the film's terror. The real concern lies in the questions this film directly and indirectly raises, potentially unsettling anyone. Why does God always demand more from those he supposedly loves most? Why are we often asked to love those we despise, to sacrifice ourselves for those who do not care and will never support us? Or even simpler questions. Would you be willing to sacrifice a family member for the potential salvation of the world. Comment your thoughts in comment section and let everyone know. There are not many horror films that pose fundamental questions to their audience. In fact, recent horror works have focused on common inquiries within the genre. Is it ethical to abduct and torture someone? Or, if I were as affluent as these characters, would I kill for amusement? However, Knock at the Cabin delves deeper and seeks to challenge audience perspectives on religion and individual beliefs. To what extent are you willing to sacrifice for strangers?
I don't mean to rush you, but we're going to ask for your decisions very fast now.
We hear these stories in the news every day. The person who drowned to save a child, or the individual who had an accident to prevent another's death. But why? What must happen for us to put strangers' lives above our own valuable existence? Perhaps the most terrifying question, spoiler alert, is this. If the aforementioned scenario were to occur, and this family chose not to sacrifice anyone, leading to the world's destruction, could we blame them?
All of them knew this X9 show would be on, and at what time.
Andrew, this virus is gonna spread everywhere.
It's a fucking pre-programmed show!
This echoes the core ending of The Cabin at the End of the World novel, rendering everything in this world meaningless. Yet Shyamalan prefers a subtler ending. While the filmmaker has distanced himself from his peak days in recent years and doesn't seem poised to return to those times, he still has narratives to unfold within the horror genre that can shock audiences. Number 4. The Boogeyman. You've likely heard of the Boogeyman, the terrifying mythical entity present across cultures, often used by parents to scare children.
You mean your mother never told you about the kukui?
Adapted from a short story of the same name by Stephen King, this film seems more like a sequel than a retelling of the original tale. It somewhat ties Rob Savage's hands, but despite this limitation, he manages to craft a reasonably acceptable horror piece for 2023. The film narrates the psychological story of Will Harper, Chris Messina, and his two daughters, Sadie, Sophie Thatcher, and Sawyer, Vivian Lyra Blair, seemingly pursued by an indescribable entity. Everything begins with Lester, David Dastmalchian, stepping into Will's office one day, claiming that all 3 of his children were murdered by a demonic being. Will alerts the police in concern, but before they arrive, Lester is killed. From there, the 2 daughters find evidence of this demonic entity's existence, apparently feeding off human sorrow and grief. Like Babadook, 2014, The Boogeyman explores the trauma and sorrow of loss, now personified in a supernatural being that torments shattered individuals. However, Rob Savage doesn't handle this subject as effectively as Babadook, Talk to Me, 2022, or Midsommar, 2019. He somewhat edges closer to the conclusion of works like Smile, 2022, which turned from horror to humor in its ending. But what makes The Boogeyman more haunting is its relentlessness. This curse doesn't release its hold until it claims a victim. It's an aspect of trauma that must be accepted, that one can never fully escape it. All right, dear viewers, that's it for part 1. Show your love by liking and subscribing. It means the world to us. Stay tuned for part 2, the final chapter. Also, comment your favorite horror or crime movie of 2023 along with your thoughts, and others can join in with their thoughts too. We can't wait to hear from you.